Did you wear shoes like you've got on when you first started in the trades?
No. I wore shoes that were not normal or traditional.
Yeah.
But it was more like a Doc Marten
Okay.
versus what I wear now. Definitely not wearing Gucci and Louis Vuittons in the attic.
Have you ever worn the Gucci's and Louis out on the job site?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten phone calls. Hey man, I have an emergency, or I have something I can't figure out, or I have an angry client. I need some assistance. I need some backup pretty fast if possible. And yeah, I pull up wearing what I'm wearing and I'll climb through an attic. I've actually ripped pants in half in attics. I was actually on it's a friend of ours. He owns a brewery, and I was climbing through the top rafter area of the brewery and just ripped a hole in my pants. Thankfully I was wearing boxers that day. So
not going camo or anything like that. Yeah.
No commando that day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not camo.
But yeah, I will. There are times like I usually will carry a pair of at least tennis shoes in the truck, because there's some of the shoes that I wear are just straight slick on the bottom.
Yeah.
And that becomes a safety hazard issue. But yeah, it's not uncommon for me to climb through attics wearing what I'm wearing.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. Now, before we go any further, tell everybody who you are and what all you do.
Okay, so my name's Tersh Blissett. I own 2 HVAC companies, a plumbing company and an electrical company, and they're service companies. Also with my business partner, Josh, we own a podcast that's a Service Business Mastery Podcast, the Skilled Trade Syndicate, which is a podcast production company, and Trade Automation Pros, which is an AI and automation agency. And we've done that for a long time now. Podcasting since 2016, 17. And so we have a lot of subscribers on the podcast, but that's me in a nutshell.
What brought you into HVAC?
Oh man. So, okay. It's a crazy story. In high school, I knew I wanted to be an engineer. I actually went to college. So I did dual enrollment my junior and senior year of high school. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to go to Georgia Tech through the G-Trep program.
Rambling Wreck.
Look at me. Yeah, look at you go. And I didn't have to pay any tuition. No, I just had to buy the books. And so that was a really, really cool program that I was able to do in high school. And I went to school. I actually joined the Air Force, did a stint there, and once I was working out in the field, I was working at a chemical plant, and I really didn't like it. Didn't like anything about it. Didn't like the plant. Didn't like the job. I was really smart. I could do the work, but I just didn't like it. And I had a friend of mine. So I've always been into cars. I have 12 cars right now, but I was very much like I had a friend of mine who was every afternoon he was at my house, and we were always working on cars, working on vehicles in the garage. And one day I was like, dude, man, like you make, around about the same amount of money I do. You don't have any college debt. You didn't even graduate high school. And I don't even know if he got his GED at that time. But like, you're not home every afternoon the same time I am, but you're home pretty regularly like I am. It's like, what do you do? And he was like, I work on air conditioners. And I was like, like, I don't even know anything about this air conditioning thing that you're talking about.
Other than it's nice to have in the summertime.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so like he actually changed out the air conditioning unit at my house. And so we checked with Fred, the owner of the company first, got his approval, and Fred allowed him to put in a new train air conditioning unit at my house, a furnace and conditioning unit. And I was like, man, this is really interesting. I helped him out do the change out. It's fun. It was exciting. And so I was like, dude, give me a job doing what you're doing. And I was like, I understand that entry level. I'm going to have to take a little bit of pay cut and whatever. But I actually interviewed, got the job. Within 2 weeks, I was actually a service technician. Like, it was crazy just because I understood the schematics and I understood a lot of the what was involved with it because of going to school for what I did. And so he got the job. He got me the job. He actually quit 2 weeks after I started, which was funny. I mean, or he put his 2 weeks notice in 2 weeks afterwards. And so, but yeah, forever, like, Brandon is the reason why I got in. We're not even really close friends anymore. I haven't talked to him in years. He actually went over to Hilton Head Island, which is not physically very far, but it's a
whole nother world.
Yeah, a million miles away, really. But yeah, that's it, him being friends, associating with, and then come to find out in our car circle, oh man, there was probably 20 or 30 guys in there that were HVAC techs that are worked in the trades in some form or fashion. And I had no idea that anything about the trades prior to that. And I would say, growing up, my dad told me I needed to be an electrician, and my parents were divorced. My mom, super big into college and education and everything else. My dad has been a Boilermaker and a welder my whole life. And so I seen how dirty he got and the long hours he worked. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do what Dad's doing. And Dad didn't want me to be a welder or a Boilermaker or anything like that. He wanted me to be an electrician. And it wasn't appealing to me because I never tried it. It was just a perception that I had. The perception that I got from my counselors and everyone at school was like, hey, avoid the trades, go over here and do college thing. And I went and did the college thing, and I didn't have the fun experience in college, like where you party and do all that good jazz. It wasn't anything like that. I have my gripes with colleges because they are for profit and force me to take stupid classes that
you will never need in your life.
Intro to tennis. Please do not charge me $1,200 to do intro to tennis, and force me to be there. That's stupid. And it goes towards my debt. And at 20 something years old, I couldn't get I think it was a $30,000 business loan. But at 18 years old, I could get $100,000 worth of student debt.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
and not only that,
bankruptable.
Every time you go to the bookstore, they're going to give you a bag that has 10 credit card applications that are guaranteed you'll get approved.
And it just blows my mind that we as a society do not give young people the opportunity to go into debt for a business like we will for student loans. I don't understand the concept. I mean, I do understand it, but I don't understand the rationale behind it.
You understand it, just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. My brain understands it, but my heart don't.
No, that's a great way to put it. So what was it about the HVAC that you loved? I mean, number one, what kind of engineer did you go to school to become?
Mechanical engineer.
Okay, so mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
So this is right up your alley.
It's right up my alley.
You bet.
And the fun things that I loved about engineering were the fun things in HVAC.
That were you getting to implement.
The things I didn't like about engineering were the things that weren't really involved. Whenever people would complain to me, they would say, man, these engineers suck. Like, whoever designed this sucks. I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay silent in this conversation.
Oh, see, I don't see that with you staying silent.
I don't. I totally am like, I didn't design that, but I understand why the engineer did what they did. And I'm not, because they're pissed off at the world right now because of this poor design.
Right. What they don't want is some young apprentice kid to say, well, here's why they designed it that way.
Exactly.
And this has to be this way because of this and this and this. And then they're like, dude, just go sit in the trunk.
Yeah. Go get me something.
Go get the square pipe coupler.
Yeah. Give me the pipe stretcher. Yes. Go out there and give me the board stretcher or something.
So I love it. So you're an engineer. And look, I've had engineers that come to work for me in plumbing before and wanting to get their license and do different things. But what made you want to become good at it? The fact that you just loved what you were doing then?
Honestly, that's kind of my mentality in life in general. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it. And if I'm not the best at it, I'm just not going to do it. It's a fault. Truly it is.
No, it's a good fault to have.
Yeah. And so like there are things that I've probably given up on prematurely in life because I knew I wasn't going to be the best at it. So I'm like, I'll just let someone else be the best at this. And I've recognized that as a more senior adult than as a young adult.
Oh yeah. Yeah. As a young adult, we don't see things like that.
No, absolutely not. But honestly, it's the dopamine hit. I mean, I've never been into like like I was telling you earlier today, like I've never had an addiction problem at all. Like
Right.
I have a couple friends of mine that like they are prone to addiction, and so like if they know like if something's great, they're like, oh, I have to be very cautious of this because like I think I might get addicted to it. I've never been that type of person, but what I have done is I've enjoyed the dopamine hits that you get whenever you solve the problem. So you get as a service technician. So like as an engineer, it's a long
Oh yeah.
project.
It can be a 3-year deal to solve a problem.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that dopamine hit don't come very fast.
Yeah.
And so as a service tech, I'd go in the house and I'm like, fix the problem. And like, boom, that was cool.
You know,
I solved it.
It's neat that you have friends that can recognize the dopamine, the feeling you get.
Yeah.
I remember I was tending bar one night with a guy, and he used to play bass guitar for David Allen Co.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And he said, you know, I did heroin once.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I mean, I hadn't done heroin. I've never done heroin,
Yeah.
but I may have experimented with some drugs.
Right.
And I looked at him, I said, once, he said, it was the greatest feeling on earth. He said, literally the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so why just once? He said, because I knew if I ever did it again, I'd never stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, man.
That's some self-control.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the greatest feeling I've ever had in my life. I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah.
That is so neat.
That is wild.
What did you have to learn to become really good? I mean, to become a technician in 2 weeks is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know,
And don't
get me wrong. I know you didn't know everything in 2 weeks.
No, absolutely not.
But you're smart enough to ask the right questions.
That's the thing. That is it. 100%. That is what I learned. I learned that I don't need to know everything about the trades to be an amazing technician or amazing business owner. What I need to do is I need to have the right contacts for the right individuals to ask them the right questions. And so then like, and not be afraid to looking dumb, looking immature, or asking the quote unquote stupid questions, because there was so often that like there's this guy named Bill, and he was a tech support guy, and a lot of people did not like him because he was real brash, real rough around the edges.
Those are the ones you learn from, brother.
Man, he taught me so much, but he had a rule for, and the technicians knew this. And this is before YouTube. This is before we had the Nextel Touch to Talk.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
And so one of Bill's rule was, I want to know the Delta T, and I want to know your refrigerant pressures before you ever call me. Like as soon as you call me, that's the first things I'm going to ask you.
Because that answers most of the questions.
That's a lot of the questions that that you're going to have, and it eliminates a lot of the phone calls for tech support that's not really needed. And but some people just really didn't like that. They didn't like to have to do that. So they call, and you hear Bill pick up, they'd hang up and they call back and ask for and hope Darren picked up, because that was his counterpart. And I'm not saying Darren was a pushover by any means, but Bill was just, you knew what Bill wanted, and I absolutely loved talking to Bill. And one day I asked Bill, I said, Bill, why aren't you mean to me? He said, not once have you ever asked me the same question twice.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. I was like, I respect your time. I know that you probably have, 10,000 technicians that are trying to call you, because he was the national guy for, I'm not going to mention the brand or anything like that, but he was the national guy for tech support for that company. And so he had to have been getting tons of phone calls every single day. And the fact that I didn't constantly call him for the same thing over and over again made him more willing to help me every single time that I call. And there's people like Jim Bergman and Bill Spohn that are really good friends of mine now that are brilliant when it comes to stuff like this. But I called up Jim Bergman who has Measure Quick. He founded a product called Measure Quick, and I called him up. This has been probably 6 or 8 months ago, and we were talking about a problem that I was having with a TXV, and we got on the subject of his daughter's air conditioning unit at her house and these experiments that he's going on. And I'm like, Jim, I called you about TXV, and we're talking about all this other stuff. But developing the relationship with people, it's the internet is wild. You know, it's made it possible. Podcasting has made it possible that we can interact with people that we would have never met 15, 20 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so wild. But I have a personal relationship with guys that live in northern Ohio and stuff like that, and with you in Texas, and I'm in Georgia.
You bet.
You know, go dogs. But anyways,
wait, excuse me. Did you say hook 'em horns? I think you did. Those of y'all that don't know today, Texas is playing Georgia, and you know I bleed burnt orange, and he lives in Georgia. I don't even know why we did this today.
Oh man, let's see how this conversation goes tomorrow.
No. I hope it's going the same way I'm wanting it to go. I love this because that's one thing I teach people getting in the trades. They always ask me, look, what do I need to know?
Yeah.
And if they know nothing at all, and I always ask them, you know, do you have a toilet at home? Do you have a water heater? Do you have a lavatory? They're like, yeah. So, well, you know as much about plumbing as I did when I got in.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I knew about plumbing. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell them, number one, never stop learning. How many tradespeople do you see every day that got in the trade to become a technician, a plumber, an electrician, whatever it is, and they've never learned anything since then?
Too many of them.
It's sad, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Unfortunately, you know, I there are times when I wish I had done that. There are times where I wish my mind wasn't so inquisitive, and I could just stick to like.
You still be driving around in a van,
dude. Just be a good service tech.
You bet.
Like, and I have,
but you can make a great living doing that.
I have so many friends who are just, they never stopped learning, but they stayed in their lane. Like
right.
they stayed in the HVAC world. They weren't interested in being a manager or an owner or anything like that. They just really wanted to do service work, and they're killing it doing service work. They're doing an amazing job. At some point, my back, I don't think could handle doing that the rest of my life. But, you know, I have a friend of mine that's actually, he's from Texas and, or it might be Oklahoma, pretty much the same thing anyways, but
Oklahoma's like Georgia. They both suck. So sorry about that. That just slipped right out.
But he became tech support, for a company called Blue On, and provides tech support for people. He was a one-man show with and he loved doing HVAC as a service provider. Wasn't super fascinated with the ownership side of things, and in fact became an owner and really didn't like it, but didn't want to go back working for someone else as a service technician, and became a tech support guy. So he like literally just part-time sits on his couch and just answers the phone all day long and answers tech support questions and helps people out, gets paid that way. And because he's a phenomenal service technician and knows like all of the HVAC equipment. Right. So, like there's different routes to take as that, you know, as a technician, staying as a technician. If you keep learning, like it doesn't take that long before you're the guy that everybody goes to, you know. When you first start out, it's so overwhelming. I had like this notepad that I was writing down. Okay, orange wire goes to reversing valve, blue wire goes to common. Like, I mean, I was so nervous about all this stuff, but it didn't take, I mean, a year, 2 years of like focusing on that. It's not a job. It's the rest of your life. It's a lifestyle. And knowing that as a kid, 18, 19, 20 years old, 25 years old, you can't tell the future. And you don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I will tell you that if you get into the trades and you put all your effort into learning all the time, every chance you get, instead of like focusing on video games, and you can focus on hunting and stuff. Like hunting is really big in our area.
Right.
But like you can get in the deer stand and still do a little bit of studying, do a little bit of reading.
You got a computer right there in your pocket.
You do 100%. Today there's such an advantage for the people that are getting into the trades because you have unlimited resources like this. You can reach out to you, they can reach out to me and get information. But there's also an infinite amount of distractions like that we didn't have. Like we had magazines that we would carry around in the vans or something. Or books.
I tell people about a library. Remember the brick building that you used to have to go to get books out of?
We still have those actually.
I know, but kids these days don't go because everything they need is right there.
Yeah, but you get online and you start looking up something and you're like, squirrel.
Oh, absolutely. This video is sponsored by High Level. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. So you got a lot of businesses going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about just doing one business and just?
Oh, sure. Every time I get something falls through the cracks on one of them, I'm like, man, I really shouldn't be doing that one or something like that. Yeah, no, it's the issue is that I enjoy so much of it. Like I bought a trucking company one time and I really into cars, and the cars are what got me into the trades, honestly. But the trucking company, I was either driving the trucks or, had drivers driving trucks, but it didn't take me but about a year, maybe 2 years to realize, hey, I'm wasting a talent. Like I know air conditioning clicks with me.
And there's good money in logistics too. I mean,
oh yeah, there's great
moving things around the world. You can make great money.
Oh yeah, amazing. But I just knew air conditioning so much more. And one day I was actually driving for one of my drivers who called in, and I was like, I'm wasting a talent here. And I got back into air conditioning, but I'm also really, really good at automation. Like because of my brain, the way my brain works with dyslexia, and so I have adult diagnosed dyslexia and ADHD and a speech impediment.
So you shouldn't be a very good entrepreneur, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's like the odds are against you, brother. The odds are, good luck.
Yes, 100%. And for anybody that's listening to this and you think you have struggles in life, know that like I have PTSD because I was in the Air Force, and
my nephew's a fighter pilot. Yeah. Now he's actually in Mississippi. He's a fighter pilot trainer.
There you go.
So yeah. What you do.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is you can have PTSD and still make it in life. You understand it. You work with it and work around it. I have dyslexia. I got up on stage and I was stupid enough to try and read something.
And this is just a few days ago, guys.
This is not long ago.
Telling us, I heard the story already. He's like, why am I trying to read?
I don't know why I'm doing this. But you can overcome challenges in life. Like I am the poster child of challenges in life and overcoming those challenges. And due to my ADD and dyslexia, I learned, because I was not child diagnosed, I was adult diagnosed, all through my childhood, I had to learn workarounds. I didn't know that at the time, but I was learning workarounds, and those workarounds really helped me with my automation thought process. Like, hey, if I have to do something 3 or 4 times, let's just automate it so I don't have to do it constantly. And that forced me, and I didn't know it at the time, but that forced me to become really, really good at automation. And so it's like, I can't give up air conditioning. It's almost like my drug, and automation's like another drug. You know, it's like my heroin. Like,
you bet. I get it.
I get the dopamine rush whenever I help people out, probably to a fault. People will message on Facebook or something. I was like, hey, I'm trying to build this automation and I can't. Like, oh, don't worry about it. Let me help you. I could be in the middle of a deadline that I really should be working on this over here.
I'll get it.
But let me help with this automation that I'm not going to get paid for. I'm not, so it's one of those things. So yeah, I really should have probably one business, but I'd be so bored. I really would be. I'd drive my wife Julie crazy if I didn't have other things to do as well.
So let's talk about your businesses real quick. You've got 2 HVAC companies in the same area.
Yep.
And a plumbing company in the same area.
Yep.
And one of these companies is remote. You don't
Yeah.
even have an office for it.
Nope. No office, no warehouse, no, also paperless. So, all cloud-based.
And you started this really for your podcast
100%.
to show people, look,
It can be
guys,
done.
this is a possibility.
Yeah. And not only that, it was one of those things where like people were really worried about being, Chuck in the truck, like a one-man operation. I don't know how I'm going to be perceived if I'm like, all I have is my garage, is my warehouse, like all this stuff. And that's what I kept hearing over and over again. I was like, well, let me show you how I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only am I not working out of a garage, I moved into a house that didn't have a garage. So like I literally took all of those out of the equation.
You
Like
bet.
I took all excuses away and said, okay, I'm going to be very intentional with being remote, being paperless. If there was a platform out there that was like, we can't do this unless we're writing stuff down, I was like, okay, no, we're not going to use that platform. We're not going to use that program. The timing was pretty good. It was pre-COVID when I did this. But during COVID, it got even easier because there was so many people working remote
and you were already ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly. We were teaching on a weekly basis about 300 companies how to work remotely because of the pandemic. And so it was actually a blessing in disguise. Like for years, I say years, about 2 years, people were like, can't do it, not possible. And then the pandemic forced it to happen.
Everybody realized, we can do more than that we thought we couldn't do.
Yes. And it's some of it, well, maybe a lot of it, you have to get out of your comfort zone to make it happen.
And that's hard to do.
And it is hard to do. So the same people that were telling me it's not possible were now coming to me and saying, hey, how do I do this?
Right.
Because I see you're doing it. And I was like, well, it's not going to be comfortable, but we're going to do it. And I'll show you how to do it. And I did. And just walked people through the whole process of, hey, just be very, very intentional of it. And some culture is the big buzzword whenever you're doing remote work. And people are like, well, you can't have good culture. You can.
Right, you're never together.
You can, but you have to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very intentional
Yep.
to have good culture because you're not together. You're not bumping shoulders every morning.
Right.
You're not hanging around the water cooler together. It's almost like you have good culture by osmosis. Like you have it by mistake, by just the fact that you rub shoulders with each other each morning. You're not intentional about your good culture. You can, I have great culture. You can tell everybody about how great your culture is because you hang out with each other once a day or twice a day in the office.
You may still hate each other, but man,
Yeah.
the culture is amazing.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And so the thing about it is like, but do you really have good culture?
Right.
No, you don't. You just have camaraderie. And so it's like, now, if you want good culture, you're going to have to be very intentional about what you do in order to have great culture. And then it becomes a job to have good culture, which is what it really should be all along. I mean, you should be putting forth effort, even if you're in the office space together, to have amazing culture. You should be having like cookouts, and you should be having little things here and there that signify culture, to help build your culture. Like one of the things that we do automatically when you're onboarding with us, there's an onboarding packet. It's a questionnaire, and some of the questions seem kind of ridiculous. One of the more ridiculous questions is, what's your anniversary? If you're married, if you have children, what's their birthday? What's your goals in life? Like, do you want to buy a house? What's your little goals, your big goals, all these things? Well, all of that stuff's put into an automation within, automation agency that I own over here. And when it's your anniversary, flowers and, what are they called? Edible arrangements are sent to your house, and they're not sent from Service Emperor or from Tersh or Julie. They're sent from you to your spouse. There you go. I've actually multiple times gotten a text message, dude, you saved me, because I had I completely spaced on the fact that today was our anniversary, didn't say anything. And then all of a sudden I get home and my wife's like hugging and kissing on me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? And then I see the flowers over there and realize what day it was, and same for birthday. And it's like, I don't know if I want to give you my kid's birthday. We haven't even really met each other. This is an onboarding interview. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, all right, just hear
Trust
me out.
It's for a reason.
Yes, for a good reason. And on multiple occasions where we've sent the children a card, a gift card, inside of a card. And it's just one of those things like, thank you for letting us have your dad or your mom, extended time away from you. So here's, $100 gift card to GameStop or something like that.
We ran into each other last week, a couple of days ago now.
Yeah.
You set up a podcast booth at
Service
World Expo.
Mm-hmm.
Great place. A lot of vendors, a lot of company owners.
Yeah.
Part of a best practice group. So I mean, these are people that are doing things right. And you've got a free massage therapist there. Actually, the second day you had 2 free massage therapists. And it wasn't just people that are on your podcast. Anybody walking by is like, hey, I want to get a massage. It's like, go for it.
Yeah. Literally. That's it. Get on the list.
Nobody else had that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody else had
Nobody's ever had that before.
And we were talking about things that you do. Again, the massage therapist and a car wash.
Oh, yeah.
Customers that spend over a certain dollar amount with you.
Yeah.
It's automated.
If it's normal, do the exact opposite.
Yeah.
How many HVAC guys do you see?
You're probably the only one that's walked in a suit like this. And I know you're the only one with shoes like that. I'm going to throw that out there.
So it's one of those things where, wow, creating a wow service. Our membership program is called the Wow membership. If we're not wowing a client, then what are we doing? Like, how do you ask for a 5-star review when you've done the bare minimum? Like, a 5-star is not a bare minimum. Like, 5-star means you went above and beyond.
Right.
But it's so natural for us to ask for a 5-star review whenever we've done nothing other than doing our job.
Right. I just showed up, did what I was supposed to do.
I did what I told you that I would do.
I did what you paid me to do.
Granted, there's not a lot of people that do everything that they say that they're going to do.
Right.
So whenever someone actually does what they say they're going to do, wow, that is kind of a wow factor, but that's not my wow factor. For us, if you spend over $5,000, automatically a message gets sent to Mary, who's our mobile masseuse, our mobile massage therapist. She reaches out and says, hey, I'm calling you to set up a time to come out to give you a massage to help you de-stress during this stressful time. And if somebody just says, hey, look, that's just really not my cup of tea, I can't have a massage, I'm super ticklish, I'll laugh the whole time, whatever. They're like, hey, we also offer a mobile detail service. We'll come to your office and detail your car. Here's the kicker. If they have a system installed, automatically 1 year later, guess what they get? Balloons sent to their work. Happy birthday. And they're like, wait a minute.
It's not my
birthday.
Right.
No, it's not your birthday. It's your air conditioning unit's birthday. All day long, they're in this office and they're like, hey, happy birthday. And it's like, it's not my birthday. It's your air conditioning unit's birthday. So all day long, they're like, wow, this air conditioning company sent this thing.
Who's your company?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Automated. Don't even know about it. I'll get phone calls or messages on Facebook and they're like, that was the craziest thing in the world. Thanks. Gave me a good laugh, whatever. By the way, 3 people in the office asked for your information. Is it okay if I give them your info? I was like, yeah, absolutely. 100%. So,
right. So we were talking about this and the massage. I want to go back to this because you had a lady that was pregnant.
Yes, Jessie Coles. So,
and we're going to talk about Jessie in a minute because to talk about the wow factor, I mean, you got to talk about Jessie.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So Jessie is a friend of mine. Jessie Cole, for those who don't know, is the guy that runs around in a yellow suit.
The Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, from the Savannah Bananas.
Love it.
So what people don't realize is there's another guy that's actually the president of the Bananas. His name's Jared Orton. They look very similar. If you see Jared, a lot of times people are like, hey, why aren't you in your yellow suit? Like they look.
Because I'm not Jessie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They look identical to each other almost. But for years and years, they've been clients of ours and very good friends of ours. But and Jessie is what I would consider a mentor, not only a friend, but a mentor. And he's the reason why I think outside the box so much.
You bet.
But Jared's wife was pregnant. and 9 months pregnant, and their air conditioning broke, which is miserable to start with. It's middle of summer, the air conditioning breaks. We send someone out there. We replace the unit as fast as possible, almost instantly. I think we did it the same day. But then Mary calls Kelsey, Jared's wife, and says, like, hey, I'm here to help, de-stress you during a stressful time. And she said, well, I'm actually pregnant, so I'm going to have to pass. She's like, well, that's okay. I do prenatal. Starts bawling. Kelsey starts crying. Calls up Jared. Jared's like, I'm on my way home.
Right.
I don't know what's going on.
Why are you crying? I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah.
Who do I have to kill?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. So she's like, no, it's not like that. It's good tears. Like, super stressful. Like, I'm at the end of my pregnancy. I hormones are kicking and raging, and and the
AC goes out,
and the AC went out. And not only that, not only did they take care of the air conditioning, I get a phone call that Mary's coming out and she's going to give me a massage,
a de-stress massage.
Yes, absolutely. And it's prenatal and all that good jazz and all this. And so then, like, because it's automated, I didn't even know this was happening. Like, Mary takes care of it, and she does an amazing job. She's a very personal person. And next thing I know, I'm at a talk with Jared, and like, Jared knows that I'm there probably, but probably forgot that I was there as an attendee because this is at a trade event.
Right.
And so it was Jared or Jesse, and they start talking about this experience. And I was like, oh, that's us.
That's me.
And then
I resemble that remark.
I resemble that remark. And then they look over and they're like, oh yeah, that's actually the guy that did it right there. That's the company. And then it's like, oh wow, like I never thought that would ever, I didn't think it would make that much of an impression to start with. I hoped that it would, but I didn't know or think that it would. And then to hear these guys, and these guys are in front of, millions of people now, and they're doing keynotes and everything else. And for them to share that story, it's like, it's mind-boggling, like the thought that one event made a, lifetime impression on them. And it's when I hear people say, hey, I'm an HVAC guy, I'm a plumber. Like, I can't do what Jesse and the Savannah Bananas do.
Yeah, you can.
I can't make life-changing experiences go on like they do at the Banana Stadium. And in reality, you really can. Just think outside the box. Do more than just plumbing. Like, you can do more than just going in the call, fixing the immediate problem, not inspecting the rest of the system, and leaving because you have like 6 other calls to go to that day. Slow down, speed up, make an impression.
I love that. Number one, Jesse's a mentor. The first social media conference that I went to, he was at. Social Media Marketing World 2018. I mean, I've got the book right here. Mm-hmm. And, before I even went, I had posted that I was going, and somebody here that knew me says, you need to meet this Jesse guy. He'll be there. He's a friend of mine. And he says, he'll be on a yellow tuxedo. And I thought, okay, that's different.
Yeah.
And I did. I talked to Jesse, told him who had told me to say hello and stuff like that. And he says, I've got 8 of these. Mm-hmm. This is what I wear every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where I got the idea of being branded everywhere I go.
Yeah, 100%.
And, my first coach was Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth books.
Yeah.
And the day that I saw him speak, he's like, look, this is what I wear on the plane. Mm-hmm. I'm in my suit. I'm in my jacket. I'm in my fedora. Uh-huh. And this is what I wear, because when people see me, I want them to know that's me.
Yeah. Like, I flew here 2 days ago, whatever it was, from Orlando, and I was wearing a 3-piece suit on the plane, and people were like, where are you going? I'm like,
hang
Dallas.
With a
plumber. To hang out with a plumber.
Hang out with a plumber.
Yeah. And they're like, well, like, I like your outfit. And Josh, who was flying with me, he was like, this is how he dresses every day. It's like, this is me. And that's how you remember me. It's like, it's not the same yellow suit that I wear every day, but it's typically a 3-piece suit. And my more relaxed days, I don't have a tie on, but I still.
Oh, normally it's a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
I mean, vest and everything, and the tie.
Yeah.
And it's, and if you can catch him in his blue suede shoes.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
What's Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I
yeah.
think I'll be in blue suede shoes again.
Cool. So I'm assuming you have to check bags every time you fly.
Oh, at least 2. Yeah, at least 2 bags.
You check at least 2 bags.
Oh yeah,
and
I
carry
have
on 2 more.
Carry on 2 more bags every time. Like I have one bag. Well, also I have my podcast equipment that goes with me everywhere I go, and so like I carry that one on just in case they lose some bags.
You bet.
And so I have
electronics are expensive.
Yes, it's a little bit of redundancy. I have some that I check, but I carry on a Pelican case with enough to be able to record if something happens to my check bags.
This video is sponsored by High Level. We've partnered up with High Level because we believe this is the best all-in-one sales and marketing platform to help you grow your business. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. What is it that Jesse's really done to change the culture of, and I mean, I see it, but a lot of plumbing companies don't. A lot of HVAC companies, a lot of electric, and like you said, well, that's Jesse. That's bananas. They're there for entertainment. That's all that is. No, they're there to play baseball.
Yeah,
but
they're there.
Jesse woke up and said, "Hey,
we can do this
how
different.
Can we entertain people completely different than it's ever been done?" How does that help the culture of we talked about culture a while ago. How does that help the culture of a company doing amazing things like that?
Oh man, honestly, it's the doing things different. If it's normal, do the exact opposite. That's something that Jesse's taught me. He's like beat it into my brain. So one of the things that we started doing a long time ago, I hear people talk about it a lot now, but it wasn't very common up until a few years back. And that is when we go to a service call, when we're headed that way, we immediately will call the client. And then not only do we call them, we tell them every single time, no matter if you just left the gas station as the service call, hey, Mr. Smith, I am going to stop by the gas station really fast just to grab a drink. Is there anything I can grab for you? There's a Starbucks next door. Would you like for me to pick up a Starbucks for you? 99.9% of the time, they say no thanks. But there are a couple of times where they're like, actually, I was about to go get some dog food from that particular store right there that you're stopping at. Would you mind grabbing that? 100%. I'll grab it. Can you text me the brand that you prefer? And they've sent a picture of the dog brand. My guy stopped at the convenience store. There was a PetSmart right next door. He ran inside, got it, took it, and my guys all know that immediately. Like put it on the company credit card, 100%. We've gotten a client of ours. They were, I don't know how this happened because they weren't like friends of mine, but we seen them on Facebook that it was their birthday that day. And the technician actually went and picked up a birthday card on the way to that house and hand wrote out happy birthday from Service Emperor, the team over Service Emperor. And we get there and the technician hands the guy the birthday card, happy birthday, with like, it was like $50 in it or something. I don't know, gift card. Right. I really don't remember, but it was something. And he was like, it's not my birthday. And we're like, wait a minute. It is your birthday. According to Facebook, it's your birthday. And the technician didn't know it was Facebook. He just knew that it was somewhere on social media that the team had seen it. And so we called up, he called the office, and the office was like, yeah, it's right here on Facebook that says a birthday. And the guy was like, oh no, that's my dad. We had the same name. And he was like, oh, well, give your dad this birthday card. And so it's just a conversation started, that whole culture, the aspect of things. And it's really like, I don't know. It's just thinking outside the box on things like that are really the wow factors. We have this thing whenever the CSR is talking with someone and booking the job, that's like, hey, if there's anything that you could get that's under $20, what would it be? It's one of their questions, like the entry questions of, oh, how old's your air conditioning unit? Oh, by the way, if there's anything that you could have that's under $20, what would it be? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Right. 99% of the time, it's Snickers or tacos. I don't know why, but that's the most common responses that we get.
That's pretty funny.
But and then whenever the technician leaves, one of the debrief questions are like, what's the pickle? What's that one pickle? Like, what's the one
Give
thing?
them the pickle.
What's that one thing in that house that you've seen that if we needed to save the customer because we screwed up, or if we wanted to wow the customer in any kind of way, what's the one thing that you could pick out that we could do for them? Oh, they have a love for the Minnesota Vikings. Like we had this happen one time. This client absolutely loved them. Well, I was at an auction and like I just happened to win this signed jersey from I can't even remember who it was. It was a running back for the Minnesota Vikings. Well, this client also purchased 2 air conditioning units at the same exact time for their house. Well, I had this thing sitting in the closet and it was like in a frame or whatever, but I'm not a fan.
Right.
I could care less about the Minnesota Vikings. Anybody that's a fan, don't hate Roger for it.
Doesn't bother me. I don't like them either.
But it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to put it over here. And if I can ever gift it to somebody, then it's a gift. It's that, oh shoot, what's the book? I can see it. Giftology. Have you ever read the book Giftology? It's a great book about giving gifts and giving gifts that are very memorable. So, this person purchased both of these units, and my lead technician went to do the walkthrough after the install was completed. Well, I met him over there and I gifted him this thing. Dude starts crying and all this other stuff. I was like, not the impression I expected.
Right. Hugs and kisses all around.
Yeah.
I get it.
We get like 12 referrals in this neighborhood from that one guy. And he actually moved not too long after that. He was in the military. And in this town in Richmond Hill, that's very heavy in military. But he actually moved away, and we're still getting referrals from him all around town.
So good.
It's wild. It's just the craziest thing in the world. And it's one of those things that I won something, I gave it away, and it made a lifetime impression on someone. But that's beating that into my team's head. Like, hey, nothing is too small. No gift is too small. If you're thinking about them, and it, like, not just as a publicity stunt, like if you're truly thinking about them in the moment, it just makes such a difference.
We had a guy come by yesterday, that a friend of mine that works for a company I've never even worked at, so I don't even really know him. But he talked about problems he's having with the owners it's culture. I mean, at the end of the day, it's culture.
Yeah.
I want to pay these guys as little as possible and make as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Do companies like that survive long?
Oof, that's a tough one. That I don't know of any. Those are the ones that get, for me personally, I feel like those are the ones that just get gobbled up into other, like PE buyouts. And I've personally seen companies like that go from 30 technicians to 2 technicians in the matter of 2 years.
And they don't understand why.
No clue why.
But they're like, we have no idea why.
Blaming the techs, blaming the economy. Yeah. 100%. And it's the culture is something that can be killed really fast too. Like I've experienced that.
You can hire one bad technician, you can ruin the culture in your company.
And I had that happen where I had one technician that came in and was so two-faced and so manipulative that they were able to pull the wool over my eyes for a year and a half.
I think we've all had that.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, in exit interviews, they're like, you got to do something about that guy.
Yeah.
He's the reason I'm out. And then I'm like, what? No, every time I talk to him, he's great.
He's happy and he thinks you're amazing.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, right. Exactly. 100%. And then he's telling that person something and telling me something else. And we're like, wow, this dude's just a liar. Like he's a really, like, almost a psychopath because he's so good at lying. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, and it's hard when you're remote to pick that out. But if you have more conversations, have regular conversations, and it's not, as long as your head's not in the sand and you don't, if you're like, I don't want to believe it, you know what I mean? As long as you're not like that,
Right.
then you'll pick it up.
Oh yeah. I love talking to Tommy Mello about culture.
Oh yeah. He's great.
He understands it.
He does.
I mean, he's like, look, if you're not taking care of your employees better than anything else, I mean, that's what your company's all about.
Yeah.
Your culture's gone.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Let's go back to when you started your company. Was culture one of the first things you thought about, or what did you think about when you first started your company?
Getting rich.
It's not really what it's about, though, is it?
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You make great money. Okay, you do, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, it's like, oh, I started a business so that I can work 80 hours and get paid less than what I got paid.
I know it's kind of crazy, isn't it? You know, we work 40 and we make so much money, and then we start our own business thinking, man, I'm doing this so I don't have to work near as hard as I have to.
Yeah.
No, you're going to work 10 times harder than you ever have in your life if you're going to be successful.
Yeah, you will. And then, yeah, no, it honestly, for me, it was serving others. Culture wasn't really a forethought at all.
We don't think about that. We're tradespeople.
Yeah. It's like, I paid you to do the job. You did the job. What else do you want from me? And I had a really hard time with culture because that's how I want to be treated.
No, you and me are the same. You tell me what to do. You don't even have to come back and ask if it got done.
If you do, I'm offended.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the way I was.
Yeah.
And it's so hard now because you work with other people and then somebody calls you, it's like, hey, y'all didn't do this. It's like, no, we did. Sent my guy out there. Well, this didn't get done.
Like
it's
now
tough.
I got to double check on everything.
I know.
Babysit people. And yeah, no, it's definitely it's a change in dynamics all the way around. But I will say that I have a young guy that's on our team now. And when I say young, he's like 22, I think, or 21, but he's just like me. Like, I'll ask him, you sure you got this? He's like, dude, don't ask me again. Like, I'm offended.
I love that. I do.
I'm like, touche.
Yeah.
Touche. Let's go. And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, things have changed, but I believe that things are changing back a little bit too. Like there was a period of time there where like 4 or 5 years where we had a really hard time with understanding the newer people coming into the trades. But I believe that there's enough, like they've seen enough go on, like the ones that graduated high school during pandemic.
Yeah,
we're
not around anybody for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like those are the ones, and this is a feeling, it's a gut feeling, not based on scientific research or anything, but I feel like those are the individuals who are really, more my speed. Like they're like, let's do this. Like, I don't necessarily need college. I am enjoying the trades. Please teach me. And they're hungry to learn. At least that's the ones that I've experienced anyways. The really young ones coming out of, that are freshly out of high school here recently. But I'll tell you, pre-COVID, I was like, no, I don't want anybody fresh out of high school. I want somebody that's experienced life. Right. Because I had a couple of people who I was treating amazingly well, but they were like brand new out of high school and they never experienced bad company. They never worked for a terrible company, and they were just very ungrateful about everything. And I had a senior guy, Corey, who's still a good friend of mine. He was like, dude, y'all are making mistakes. Y'all have not experienced bad.
Right.
Like, yes, there was a hiccup here, but Tersh took care of it, or Julie took care of the hiccup. You haven't worked somewhere where hiccups are every day. Yeah. And then you have to take care of the hiccup, or nobody takes care of the hiccup. It turns into the new norm.
You bet.
And they're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to, I just want to try something else. So they actually left, went to these other companies, called me back and was like, look, man, I apologize. Yeah. I'm sorry for the crap that I gave you.
Can I please come back?
Yeah. Well, one of them moved to a different state, and And he was like, man, I obviously can't come back because I've moved and gotten married and gotten a kid and stuff like that. So like we're real well established here, but I really wish that I had like learned more, stuck around. And I was like, dude, we're not dead to you. Like you're not dead to me. Like we could still have a relationship. You can ask me questions and I can help you from afar. He's like, you do that for me? Like, yeah, man. Like at no point did you, like, I'm getting offended. At no point did you see that in our relationship.
You didn't hit me with a wrench. You didn't talk bad about my wife. You didn't do anything stupid.
Yeah. When you left, it was a cordial leave. And you didn't steal $40,000 worth of tools out my truck, you know? So, but yeah, it's one of those things where now that they've experienced bad, all of them have said in one form or fashion, like, you actually did take care of me. You did a good job of it, and I appreciate what you did.
Yeah, it's really funny. I had a problem with the garage door company one day. The bad problem. Yeah. And I mean, literally threw the guy out of my house. I'm like, you leave now or I'm shooting you. It's entirely up to you. And ended up calling another company. And this kid comes to the door and I'm on the phone and I look at him and I recognize him. He used to be a former student of mine.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my God. I said, look, let me finish this. So Julie, my wife at the time, comes and talks to this kid and says, hey, Roger may not want me here. I was a student of his and he didn't like me much. She said, why didn't he like you much? She said, well, he's hard on me. He said,
no, that means he did like you.
I know. and that's exactly, but look, she used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So she listened. She says, if he was hard on you, that's because he cares. She says, look, Roger did care. Roger went out of his way to make sure we learned. So most of the other teachers up there didn't. She says, trust me then, Roger does not hate anybody. Yeah. Said, you're good. And he comes in, I take him out in the garage. I finished on the phone, went out in the garage, showed him what all I've got. And just the greatest kid. He's like, look, they tried jacking you over. You don't even need that. You need this. And you said you're having a problem with this. I can replace that for $100.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's all it is. He said, yeah, that's really all you need.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this other company wanted $1,300 before I threw him out.
Sure.
And it's bad when the garage door guy walks in and he stops right in the middle of the garage and he's looking up at your spring.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going over here to the cable that's giving me the problem. And I'm like, you see this? He said, we got a problem. What kind of problem are you talking about? He said, you see that spring? I said, yeah. He said, you see the rust on it? Well, yeah, it's been out in the garage for 15 years, 20 years. He says, that spring is getting ready to break. I can't even lift the garage door with this spring on here. I can't do it because it's going to break. That
was the kid?
No, not the kid. This is the guy I had a problem with before that.
Trying to upsell.
Yeah, I'd already called him to fix the problem. He said $129. I'm like, great, get him out there. Well, now the spring is $800. Oh, that's $400.
Yeah.
And then the $129 service fee. And I'm like, you know what? You need to get out of here.
Yeah, we're good.
And he said, well, okay, but I got to collect that service fee. I said, no, you don't. I said, I was told it was $129 to fix that. He said, well, I'm not leaving. I said, good. I'm going to get my gun. I'm going to shoot you because I've asked you twice to leave now. And the next time there will be a gun in my hand, I will squeeze the trigger. Yeah. And he's got a guy with him that he's training. This dude's like, I'm out of here, man.
Yeah.
I ain't
getting shot.
This is a big old boy.
Uh-huh.
And he goes to turn around and he looks, he sees 2 water heaters sitting there. He said, you're in the service industry. I said, absolutely, service plumber. Oh. He said, and you're going to treat me this way? I said, dude, I don't walk in and screw people over.
That's right.
That's what you're trying to
treat me this way.
That was about 8 years ago. That spring is still there. It ain't broke yet. I know that's a surprise to a lot of people. Oh, this is fun. This is good. Tell everybody again who you are and how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn from you.
Yeah. So Tersh Blissett. And if you just Google Tersh, I'm there. Like
Google Tersh, you got to love it.
You YouTube plumber.
I'll tell people that on YouTube, go to YouTube, search plumbing. You'll find me.
Yep. Tersh.co is one of my websites. Servicebusinessmastery.com is the podcast website. And serviceemperor.com is one of the air conditioner companies. But seriously, just Google Tersh. I'm Tersh Blissett on most social media platforms.
There's not many people with your name.
Right, exactly. I'm trying to be like the Beyonce.
There you go.
Just one word.
I like that.
Tersh.
I like that.
So, but yeah,
I am Tersh.
Yes. So it's one of those things where it's like, I hated the name growing up when I was growing up
And
because
now
they just
you
make fun of it.
freaking love it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. It's SEO value there.
Oh, it's huge.
Right.
I know.
But yeah,
I'm gonna have to black label that. Go in and
Yeah.
mess up the Tersh name. Start build a big porn site,
Yeah.
Tersh.com.
yeah.
Okay, so and I love that. And I love that you've got a servant mindset.
Yeah.
You give back, you help people, you do a lot of great things. You're an introvert, so me and you hang out's great. You never have to say a word.
Yeah.
Anybody walks up, I got the conversation, we're fine.
100%.
But it's always been neat to run into you out of town and just, number one, see what shoes you're wearing.
Yeah. Right.
But your attitude, I love what you do for the community and everything you do. So anybody out there thinking about getting into HVAC, if you're not smart enough to be a plumber, I mean, that's a good choice. and you can probably learn a lot from Tersh. I always tell people all the time, like, if you're not smart enough to be a plumber, you can either be an electrician or an HVAC tech. Tell me about your worst day ever at work. What's the worst things ever happened?
I got a phone call. A tree fell on a guy.
Mm. No, I get it.
Screw you.
I know.
Yeah. It messed me up pretty bad.
How'd it fall on him?
When
He's out doing a job or something?
No, sitting in a van.
Mm.
Yeah, at a gas station. And it fell right on top of him. Messed me up, obviously.
Yeah, it's stuff like that will.
Yeah.
These are our family members. People don't always get that.
Yeah.
And I love it when people want to argue with me on pricing. They're like, man, you're more expensive than a doctor and attorney. It's like, well, I've got a whole team.
Yeah.
My guys pull up in a $100,000 vehicle full of parts, ready to fix your problem.
Exactly.
They've been training longer than the attorney or doctor did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to pay them great. I want to have vacations and holidays and training. And I mean, I work for a company that spends 10 grand a year per employee on training.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want the best people, you're going to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now let me turn that around. What's the best thing that's ever happened to you at work? What's the best day ever?
I don't think about those days, honestly. And I know that's not good. Well, I'll tell you, recently I had a day where I gave one of my guys the day off to go close on his house. First house he ever bought. That was great. Yeah.
That's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
From your side, the massage story, the wife,
mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Kelsey.
but stuff like that happens pretty often. Really.
It
maybe
happens,
not to that level.
Oh, sure. It happens so often that like I forget about them, and not in a, like, I don't want to forget about them.
Right.
It's just, you forget about them. And that's like when someone asks me, well, what do you automate in your business? Well, I'll tell you, we have 80,000 automations a month between, a couple businesses. So we automate a lot. Most of the times I forget what we automate because we automate so often. And
let me ask you a crazy question right there. 80,000 automations a month.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have that automated, how many people would you have to hire to do that?
Oh, at least 3-4 office staff.
That's crazy.
At least 3 or 4.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But we are.
It's saying it's time, Roger. You're done.
So, yeah, automation wise, it's really, there are some automations that I probably do that aren't needed, but they're like daily check-ins. Like the alarm that just went off is a daily check-in for technicians. So I will check in at random times, like 8 a.m. every morning, and then the other 2 check-ins are at random times during the day, and they're all randomized by automation. And the check-ins come from me. Now it's a very simple check-in. It's a green, yellow, or red emoji. Like, that's just, send me one of those 3 back. If you send me a green emoji, I know that you're good,
right?
You're ready to roll.
That's amazing.
Yellow, man, I'm getting frustrated. I don't know what it is about this job. I'm getting irritated. or it might be something outside of job. It could be like work or personal life. You know, my wife's calling, we're having an argument, blah, blah, blah. Red, I'm done. I'm done for the day. So if I get a yellow, I'm texting whoever it is, like, hey, what's going on, buddy? Can I help you in a new way? If I get a red, like, I step out, make a phone call. Like, if I got a red right now,
right?
Sorry,
Roger,
I got to take this call real fast. Yeah. And so that's one of the things. And I never make them public either. I never respond publicly in a text message. I never call or tell them that I'm calling you publicly or anything like that. I am almost like, if you looked at it, you probably would look at it and be like, dang, the only time you respond, Tersh, is whenever everything's good. Like, no.
That's when I don't respond. They're great. Yeah.
I purposely don't say anything in the group chats. And I tell everybody when they're hired, I'm like, look, you won't see me respond if you're a yellow or a red. You won't see me in the thread respond, because I want to maintain your privacy.
Yep.
And I want you to understand that I respect that. And I want you to be able to be open with me. Because I had one technician one time who said, it doesn't matter if I'm yellow or red, I'm always green. And when he said that, I was like, oh, kudos to you for always being positive attitude. And I thought about it for a minute.
I'd rather you be real.
Yes. Yep. It's exactly what I said. I was like, man, don't lie to me, because that's what you're doing. When you say you're green, but you're actually yellow or red, you're lying to everybody.
People like that, they're not just lying to you, they're lying to themselves.
100%.
Because they're like, look, I'm just going to tell myself everything's okay.
100%. Yeah. 100%. And,
there's a new song right now by Jelly Roll, something like "I'm all messed up," or "I'm not right," or whatever it is.
100%.
And he says, "But look, I can't be the only one."
Can't be.
It's like, God, I love that song.
Yeah.
Every time I hear it, I get teary eyed.
It's great.
It's like, damn. Yeah.
But that fella, he after that, he started being real with himself and with everybody on the team. And what he found was that when he marked yellow or red, it wasn't just me that reached out. It's the rest of the team that reached out as well. And that's nobody marked in there that they were reaching out. And then he's like, oh, crap. Like, wow, the support's here.
That's cool.
And I was like, yeah, that's what's up.
I love that, brother.
Yeah.
Man, this has been good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you.
Yeah.